Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 99 of the Watch Rolling Podcast. The Watch Rolling Podcast is a veteran-owned podcast that focuses on horology while sharing valuable resources with the watch enthusiast community. My name is Jason. I'm your host. If you're new to the pod, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Watches as status symbols or form of self-expression. I know that watches oftentimes serve a lot of different purposes for different people. Some wear them as status symbols and others for personal expression. I know there's probably a bazillion other reasons, but these are the two that I tend to see the most. And people explain it a lot of times when they talk. So, why does this matter? I think understanding your motivation early can shape your collecting journey. And I think it can really give you a more positive experience or a more not so positive experience based on your mindset. I'll let you know how each one of these affects my own journey. And at the end of this episode, I'll spill the beans on that because there's a little bit of both for mine, but more to follow. So I think an important thing to do is ask yourself this question early and often, like, why are you into watches? Are you drawn to the prestige, the heritage, or the craftsmanship? Prestige could come from a lot of different things. Prestige could come from name. It could come from marketing. It could come from the heritage of things that have been done with this watch or things the watch company has done with their watches and made their watches for. A lot of times it could be craftsmanship. There are some brands that are very well known for their craftsmanship, even if they don't do such a great job at sharing their stories through marketing. Or is it the uniqueness of certain brands? Because there are some brands that are very unique and they do very unique things. They don't do what everyone else does. So I think that's an important thing to remember too. There's no wrong answer here, and there might be a mix of what attracts you to what it is that you collect or what attracts you to the timepieces that you're attracted to. So it's something just to keep in the back of your mind. And I think that this impacts your journey. It's a mindset that influences what you buy, how you engage with the hobby, and what brings you joy. I would recommend seeing episode 97, The Disease of More. Think there's a fine line between watches as status symbols or as a form of self-expression, and then probably not being happy with what you have because of a little bit of status. Like, again, there's no wrong answer. Your status and self-expression can coexist. Recognizing your motivation helps avoid regretful purchases. And I know for me, early on, there was times where I bought pieces because I thought that was a piece I was supposed to have. I mentioned this before in an episode a long time ago. I thought for a while I had to have a dive watch. I had to have a dress watch. I had to have chronograph. I had to have a field watch. I had to have whatever. And as I did that, I realized I wanted to be seen as like well-rounded enthusiast. But in reality, I didn't like 90% of those watches. I mean, those of you that know me know what kind of watches I like. And speaking of what watches I have, let's do a wrist check. I got my SRPC 44, the gold tuna on the strap code bracelet made for it. Oh man, it's so snazzy. I love this thing. It's so obnoxious, but that's what I have on the wrist. And this is an actual watch for me that just has always made me happy. I always wanted like some little obnoxious goldy piece, but I didn't want to go spend gold money. You know what I mean? And so thankfully Seiko once again comes to the rescue, and strap code, not sponsored, but they make good bracelets, and there's stuff that's made for different pieces. It actually just mates up really well, and it's a great, wonderful watch. But that was something for me that was just a form of personal expression. I just wanted an obnoxious, fun watch, but something that had, some real build quality to it. And Seiko's watches have very good build quality, and it just looks great. The overall aesthetic looks great. It just sings to me, and that's what it is. I don't think there's any real status with having a gold-plated Seiko turtle. I mean, if there is, I don't know, but for me, it makes me happy. And like I said, there's no wrong answer. Status and self-expression, they can coexist. And just recognize your motivation. It helps you, and it helps you avoid regretful purchases of stuff you don't really need. So is status relative? I think it's an important question to ask. Ask yourself, there's different definitions of status, right? Price point. Does a high MSRP make a watch more desirable? Do some people really want, or do you really want a watch because it's a certain price point? Exclusivity, limited editions, boutique only models. Does rarity define status? If a watch is harder to get and you score it, is there something about status there? Connection. Does a personal meaning basically trump any financial value? Can a $200 gifted watch mean more to you than a $20,000 Grail watch? I would say for me, yes. I mean, if I was gifted a watch by someone I really cared about, or if I had family members that were into watches and one of them been passed down to me, that would probably mean a lot more to me than just a random $20,000 watch. And then does status matter to you? If so, embrace it. If not, focus on what you love, not external validation, because the status thing is, and I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest, it's kind of cool to get it once in a while when you have it. So I'm not going to poo-poo it. Can personal expression have status? Unconventional choices can become status symbols. Like wearing an indie brand or a vintage piece can signal confidence and taste. I mean, I've seen this in groups. I've seen the moment. So if someone's like into Bulova, or if they're into like Aquastar, or if they're into vintage, and they hunt down a real one and they find it like a really good, and they bring it to a meetup, you see people's faces, people around them where they're like, oh, man, it's so cool. I can't believe you got that. And he or she's all stoked. I think that can be that's status, right? Because at that moment in the group, everyone's like, "Oh man, so and so cool." And it's like the end of one of those '90s movies where they slow clap or they circle around everybody. I think it could be like that. And I think that's kind of fun. I think that's fun of it. Knowledge is status. I mean, can your overall knowledge provide status? Can understanding movements, history, and watchmaking, can that elevate your status among your fellow enthusiasts? I know there's people that I always listen to because they know some serious stuff, and it just leads to such a form of respect to me. I know X person about this brand or about these movements or about this designer. They're the person I'm going to talk to. And to me, that's status because it's someone I'm going to go to. I'm going to trust. I'm going to want to hear them talk about what they care about and what they love. And that matters to me in the watch space because I can't always find, I mean, the internet's a good place, but you can't always find what you're looking for. And there's not always a ton of information on some of this more obscure stuff. So someone that has a serious knowledge, I think that's a form of status. And I know for me it is. Owning your style. Like true status is wearing what you love without caring what others think. This is absolute truth. I mean, I've met so many people in the watch space that, I'll start with me. By all accounts, I'm the most boring dresser ever. I try to wear not the same thing every day, like literally the same clothes. But if I find a pair of slacks I like, I get them in black and gray. If I find shirts I like, I get them in black and blue. My shoes might be a place where I kind of spend a little bit more time and stuff like that. But still, they're pretty simple choices, resolable, et cetera, et cetera. My socks, boring. Haircut, boring. My glasses, boring, because that's just how I like to live. But my watches are a little bit of flair, but I own my style. And then I've met plenty of other people in the space that just have awesome styles and mixing and matching stuff, mixing and matching patterns, taking risks with certain things they wear. And you can always tell when someone's really happy with that because they kind of just light up, right, when they get to do that. If you're a person that's really into that fashionable stuff. And I think it's great. So owning your style, I think owning your style really brings a joy out of you. And when it brings a joy out of you, people will see your passion about what it is you're into. And if that's for your watch that goes with that outfit, it's going to sell that watch even more. And I think that's just awesome. And I think you get a different kind of status other than someone who is, shopping specifically for like certain watch as a status symbol, right? And I think I hate to say regular folk and not watch enthusiasts, I think for true watch enthusiasts, just because you have a certain piece isn't necessarily going to give you status. I think Rolex gets a bad name because I think people think that people that go for Rolex are just, into Rolex, quote unquote. But there's a lot of Rolex enthusiasts out there that know all the difference between the reference numbers and the differences in the models of those reference numbers, et cetera, et cetera. And I love talking to those people. I love talking to them because I learn so much about Rolex. It makes me go look up stuff about Rolex. And I think that speaks to the soul of Rolex at a much more natural level for us watch enthusiasts. Cause like, it's the same thing as someone that's into like Timex. Like I just love listening to talk about Timex. And I look at Timex in a slightly different way that way. And they get an elevated status with me as far as, people that dig those brands. And I go pick their brains for information because I think it's pretty cool. And, a cool Timex can really like solidify your outfit. I think it's awesome. Ask yourself these questions early and often. The reason I bring this up is because I think it's important early on just to start your journey asking yourself questions. It'll save you money. It'll save you time. It'll save you heartache. Ask questions, ask yourself those questions. Pay attention to how it's impacting your journey. Are you feeling down in the dumps because you're not getting something just because it's a name, or are you down in the dumps because you're not buying something that you like, but you're afraid of what people are going to say if you get it? I say, screw it, buy it. And remember, there's no wrong answer because there's a little bit of everything. Status relative. Can it be price point, exclusivity, connection? Does the status matter to you? If it does or it doesn't, whatever. I know for me, it does a little bit, and I'll talk about that in a second again. And then can personal expressions have status? I absolutely think so. I think that if you're part of a really expressive group, like unconventional choices can be pretty cool. You're like, oh, I've never seen that before. There was a NASA computer watch that I saw a little while ago, and I thought that was cool if someone was rocking that. Knowledge is status. Sometimes your knowledge gives you some status, and your knowledge can be part of your personal expression because if you're super into certain pieces and you wear them a lot, and then you wear them around a group, gives you a little bit of status in the group. And then owning your style. It's just, that one's about as simple as it can get. Wear what you like what you wear. It's going to shine through and it's going to make you do that. So for me, I want to talk about how collecting journey is shaped by how you see watches. A status symbols, personal expressions, or both. For me, it's both. And I'll tell you why. I absolutely dig the hunt. I dig the hunt of finding pieces that are, I would say, in the zeitgeist, but then like the weird offshoot. So maybe it's a Destro, maybe it's a titanium piece. Maybe it's this model like the Marine Master. Like I love my OG Marine Master, the first one with the hand-painted lume. Like I love that thing. It might be a little redundant because I just picked up a new watch, but I love that watch. And the hunt for me was a lot of that, right? And I kind of lucked out, but I found it in a good place and I got it for a fair price. And I love that watch. And for me, seeing the reactions of people that I know when I got that watch, it was some juice. It was a little bit of juice for me. And I got pretty jazzed. I was like, yeah, because to me, it's like finding something, setting a goal and going to get it and then enjoying wearing it and then seeing the joy on other people's faces when they see that you have it and their interest and enthusiasm about it. I mean, I don't know. It's like a big energy boost for me. It just makes me happy. And I'm not perfect. That may not be for you. It doesn't have to be for you. And I know it's probably not entirely quote unquote right for me, but it's like jazz hands. I just get so happy. And I think that that's what's been fun about the hobby for me, because I've gone through a lot of watches early, but I do that purposely. I do that because I want to experience as much as I can, because for me, holding the watches is tangible. And so I get the knowledge from that. That helps with some stuff. And then I get, to be able to personally express myself and learn my personal expression, most importantly with watches. Because while my clothes are boring, I would say my watches technically are not. And apologize for sweating because it's warm in here because the heater's on. I'll recap. So for me, both. I dig the hunt and the reaction of folks when I find something cool. I'm not perfect, but that's me. And then call to action. Like reflect on what drives your choices and embrace it. Just own it. Own everything about your watch journey, what you wear, whatever. Just own it, because if you get what truly makes you happy and you wear what truly makes you happy, this whole journey through the hobby is going to be so much fun for you. And just remember that there's no wrong way to enjoy watches. It's just make sure it's your way. Your way is going to be the right way, and your way is going to make it fun for you. And remember, at watchrolling.com, you make the watch. The watch doesn't make you.